Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, and welcome to House Talk with Dr. Lauren Pitts. My name is Alan Garlick, and I am back this week joining Dr. Pitts as your guest co-host this evening. Dr. Pitts, it's great to be back again as we continue our discussion about issues of concern to men.
Alan, it's great to have you back, and I'm looking forward to a great show tonight, so let's go ahead and do what we do.
All righty then. Listeners, we have an exciting show today, and of course we want to hear from you. To join the conversation or to ask a question, please call 515-605-9744. That's 515-605-9744. Now let's get started. Tonight, our subject is the balanced life of a man. That is, his family, what men want out of marriage, relationships, and life. Tonight we will discuss how we balance our lives, how we get it all done, or do we? And we have a great panel joining us to discuss this topic. So I want you to please welcome Ted Wright. Ted is a native Washingtonian and graduate of the Bowie State University. He's a former vice president of BNI Delaware and services clients at many great organizations such as the Volunteers of America and the United Negro College Fund. His goals are to enhance the lives of individuals and business owners by ensuring they have affordable legal access to the justice system. Ted is committed to community and service to others. Welcome, Ted.
Thank you for having me. Welcome to you guys, and thank you for having me be a part of the show today.
All right. And then we have another panelist who is not with us yet. Unfortunately, he had some travel issues and had a slight delay. But hopefully we will be joined by James E. Selman III. Now, James is the president and CEO of The Look Enterprises, a strategic management consulting firm based in Washington, D.C., with an office in Houston, Texas. He's a former public administrator and public policy strategist. He devotes his free time to his philanthropic efforts as founder of the Josephine Palmer Foundation, a nonprofit organization designed to promote and establish comprehensive programs to meet the needs of the underserved. James earned his bachelor's from the Hampton University and his MBA from the Bowie State University. He and his wife, BJ, have been married for 20 years. So, like I said, he is en route, and hopefully he'll be able to join us before the end of the show. So, now let's get started. All right, so we're just going to jump right in, and I guess it's just you and me, Ted.
Not a problem.
Good doctor.
You know, we got to hold the fort down.
Yes, we will make it happen. All right, so for the first question, who is the head of the house? And has the emergent, strong, independent woman emasculated the traditional role of the man in marriage or a relationship? Ted, what do you think?
Okay. Wow, that's a loaded question. A lot in there.
Mm-hmm.
But, to start off on the first point, biblically the man is the head of the household. And I think it's just misconceived that a lot of men who step up into the role of marriage say that they should be the head of the household just because they say so and it's written. But there's some qualifications that have to go toward that for you to actually really be that person that's expected to lead your family. And first of all, a man has to ask himself who's leading him. And if he has no guidance and he has no spiritual leadership, what is he leading his family to? And so my first thing is to put God first. And if that man has that, in his life first, and he's seeking that every day, then any woman or the children that come along with that union should at least, everything's not going to be perfect, but they'll at least be in the right path in the right direction.
Exactly.
Now, what has happened as far as, have women taken that role and put men in their in a backward role or whatever? Some men have allowed that to happen in their households. Why? Because they have missed the first piece. And maybe that woman has that, which gives her discernment that maybe I don't need to be following that. And until he gets it, I can't be running to a ditch while he's figuring it out. And so it's because they have to do it, not necessarily because they want to.
That's a good point, Ted. I hear so many women talk about being forced into that role and having to take that head of household, take it on full steam because either they're single or, like you said, the man in their life just hasn't stepped up, or like you may not know what to do. You made a good point that all men want to be the head of the household, but a lot of them don't know what it takes, don't know what's required of them in that role.
What's required, requirement. Exactly. You're right, absolutely. I would agree with you on that 100%.
Can I? Right.
Right.
Okay, come on, Dr. Pitts.
Look here now. You're both dead on, and I would just like to add to that they don't know, and I think the reason why some men don't know speaks to a greater societal issue in that, particularly in the African American community, so many of our homes are absent the father. So, so many men are left looking to celebrities or whomever to serve as a role model for them. And there's this misconception of what true masculinity is, of what it really means to be the head of the home. And what I have said for years is that, because so oftentimes men accuse us, in particular as black women, of having angry black woman syndrome. And I said, it's not that at all. Just like you all have some things that you're angry about, we definitely have some things that we're angry about, justifiably so. But in that, I don't have a problem submitting. I don't have a problem, even at times where appropriate, being a little docile. But what I'm not going to do is follow you straight to hell. You cannot lead a household where, as Ted said, where who is your head? What is it that you're asking me to submit to? Your say so? Where are you taking us as a family system? And if that question cannot be answered, then Houston, we have a problem. No pun intended, because James is not on the call yet. It's a big deal, and I think so oftentimes, as Alan said, that men, you both said actually, men just want that role because it's written, but do they even know where it's written?
Exactly.
Did you hear that it was written, or do you know for a fact that it was written? And oh, by the way, there's so many other scriptures that support that speak definitively to what else goes along with being the head of the house. And I think that folk need to, get back to the basics. That's all I got for now. I'll jump in a little bit.
Well, Dr. Pitts, that most people do not read the Bible, so they probably have no idea where that scripture is or what it says. Yeah. You know what? We have a caller on the line. Sheila is from Huntsville, Alabama. Sheila, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm on the line. I love the show. But here's my point. I'm from a Bible Belt state, and I was reared in the church, and my husband looks to me to be the head of the house. He tells me I'm the head, that I'm the one that holds it down, holds it together. So when we talk about men being the head, is it possible that some men want their woman to be in charge? And is there anything wrong with that?
Well, can I jump and answer that question?
Sure, come right in, Chad.
Well, sometimes we have to understand things in context. And maybe your husband, and we're going to take this out of a scriptural textual space right now and put it in the natural. most of the men joke all the time when my wife be around. I'll say, "Oh, she the boss. Oh, whatever she say, go. She run the house.
Happy wife, happy life."
She does, but it's not. We're not talking about it in the context of when we sitting down having serious conversation about real decisions that need to be made and those types of things. That he's absent from those things. I'm sure. I would hope that he would be involved in those things with you, but obviously in a joking way. We tend to say, you the boss, whatever you say. Because you know what? Most of the time, we ain't going to be right no way. So we fighting against the power. So we understand that when you get married, you just learn to say, yes, honey, and how fast you want me to do it.
So it's happy wife, happy life.
There you go. Because the crazy thing was, before I got married, I used to be one of these guys that it irked me to see married men walk around and doing things with their wives that they didn't really feel like doing. So I'm going to tell you what I used to do. When I was dating my lady, she used to always want me to go to the mall, and I don't like going to the mall with her. I just don't like I don't like shopping. That's not just something I'm into. But she loves it. But when I used to go to the mall, I had to break down and go, but I was never happy. So I'm in there looking I see a guy walking, he's married, he got the bags, he carrying them. You know how men do. We go over in the little corner and stand in the middle of the clothes and wait for her to figure out what she going to do. And I'd go over there and be trying to, create an opportunity to get a group of men together. We was going to stand up and fight and pick at this thing. So I go over there and ask the guy, say, man, you happy to be here? I said, how you doing? You happy to be here? He'd be like, nah, man, you just got to do what you got to do. I said, man, but you married. Why you ain't just telling no? You don't want to do it. He said, man, you don't understand. Brother, man, and everybody would always tell me, you do not. I said, man, we got to fight the power, man. They say, man, you're going to be hurting. Man, you're going to be hurting for the rest of your life. And I would never believe him. But now I understand. It's not worth it. That's a fight you can't win. So we give in. So that was my story. Happy wife, happy life. You're right.
Yeah, you made a good point, Ted. It's you have to know when to fight, what battles to choose, and which ones to let go. And I think that is a big part of being a leader. And so you said, I heard you say that you sometimes give those reins up, but I think in your case it sounds like you are treating your wife as an equal. And so she has equal input, that type of thing, which is the way things should be. But like I know, if there is a kingdom of two, that you may have a chance to have a split decision. And during those times, there's got to be the final set. So
absolutely,
I think that's important to keep in mind. And some men give that up. But there are other things like being a protector. You theoretically wouldn't give that role up.
No, because you would die for her just like Christ died for us. So we understand that. And those things we don't give up. I mean, sometimes the roles in life may reverse and those types of things. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't like paying bills. But the wife, she's adamant about it. So Ted just do his part and say, listen, that's your gift to make sure everything go in on time. And I ain't got to be the one that do it.
Yeah,
sometimes
exactly.
men feel like, look, I bring the money in, I pay the bills, I have to do this, I have to do that, and you wash the dishes. The roles don't. There are no set roles, and everybody's relationship is different. And you just got to find your harmony. And some of those things that you may give up, maybe you're the cleaner, and she's the person who like doing the gardening and cutting the grass. That doesn't mean that you less than a man because she's doing what traditionally people say is a man's role to do. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't make you less than in those situations or look like that the woman's in charge, so to speak.
Exactly. And there also is such a thing as leading from behind. Let somebody else take the lead. And you're still the one guiding everything, but that person out front may be somebody different.
Yep.
So let's move on because we are quickly running out of time. So, but we've already started talking about this next question, which is what makes or creates a healthy, fulfilling marriage? So, let's start with the doctor, Dr. Pitts.
There you go. I was going to say, let's go get some estrogen.
See how y'all do? No, it's cool. So, you know what I tell people, both personally and professionally, first and foremost, I learned a whole lot from a failed marriage. And I would tell you the first thing that I learned is the importance of not getting ahead of God. Let me rephrase this. Not getting ahead of God and not being so brazen as to ignore the very obvious red flags and warning signs saying, stop, don't go there, don't do that. You know, I married the wrong person and knew walking down the aisle that I was marrying the wrong person and just didn't have the strength or the courage to stop. You know, pride came in. It was just so many things. And I think that that's paramount, that you have to, like, don't get married just to say that you're married. Don't get married just to say that you got a woman or just to say that you have a man. There has to be, I believe, a level of compatibility that goes beyond sex. And so oftentimes, particularly in the church, folk want to go ahead and rush to get married just so that they can have sex and not have to repent for it. But there's so much more. You have to like the person that you're with. You know, there has to be a mutual respect. I believe that there has to be an understanding of not only your own purpose, but the other person's purpose. I think, as you both said, you have to be willing to, as women, you got to be willing to stand down. You have to be willing to trust this man that you made the decision to vow to spend the rest of your life with. And if you can't, why are you married to somebody that you can't trust? I think those are key. Respect, you know, compromise. I believe that those are very, very key. And without those, you have nothing. And, you know, I believe that it's really important, too, for two whole people to come into a marital union. Two broken people do not a whole person make. And if you have one person who's secure in who they are and another person who's insecure, Houston, we got some problems. You know, it creates conflict that's unnecessary. And I go through, you know, I have these conversations with couples that I counsel, and that, you know, if the kid didn't have issues, would you all still have marital problems? Heck yeah, you would, because you got all this unresolved stuff that you should have talked about before you got married. And people don't want to talk. People don't want to communicate, and communication is paramount as well.
Yeah, and, you know, you hear it all the time that people, you need to be a friend first. And I think that is super important when it comes to being able to listen, being able to communicate, is having somebody that you consider a friend. It's something that the good brother mentioned earlier, too. It's choosing someone that's a compliment to you. If you don't like cutting the grass or gardening, and, you know, you find somebody that does, you know, and I think that thing, it kind of evolves, and I think it goes to your point of choosing the right person, you know. So in having, I would just say that I think that what makes or creates a healthy, fulfilling marriage is knowing what you want going into it. Yeah. And like you said, Doctor, not settling for anything less. Yeah. And I think if you do that, you'll actually find that compliment, that person that's a compliment to you.
Absolutely. Add value. Yeah. I think that it's important that each person in the relationship have the ability and the desire to add value to the person. And I the other thing that I tell my clients real quick, so Ted can jump in, is that if my focus is on you and your focus is on me, then how can we go wrong? But it's when people get into this selfishness, this self-centeredness, this self-absorption about me, I, then all the craziness comes into play. And at the end of the day, if I wake up with it purposed in my heart, mind, spirit, and soul to be a blessing to you every day, even when we disagree and you do the same, how can we be at odds? How can we have a relationship that is full of discord? You can't. You won't. People need to shift their focus and take their focus off the reflection in the mirror and put their focus on the person, and the other person needs to do the same. And I believe that their marriages, their relationships will be far more fulfilling.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And the communication piece, Dr. Pitts, is so important, and it's about how to talk to people. Are you talking to respond? I mean, are you listening to respond, or are you listening to hear them?
Yeah.
And so if you just already got an answer for whatever you're saying, as soon as you say the first word out, you didn't hit the bomb thing on Steve Harvey's show, on Family Feud, before he finished the question, you didn't already, and when that happens, the person feels disconnected, feel like they're not being heard, and then you start having disconnect.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a good thing. But if everybody's willing to listen to what the other person has to say, this is how I feel about it. And sometimes we got to grow to a place where we take our emotion out of the equation.
Yeah.
And when we dealing with emotion, the people are going to respond different ways. And so until we can grow and understand our mate, that what's going to touch them the wrong way and what words not to use, and is what I'm going to say be helpful, and is it a reconciliation opportunity here, or am I just going to keep digging the same thing up over and over again without any type of resolution in place for us to go after? And so I think if people talk more, their relationships will last. I'm just sitting here talking like a 50-year-old person being married for 50 years, but I only got 1 year in. But I'm going to tell you how I did it. Somebody asked me on my anniversary, February 24th. They said, man, how does it feel to be married for a year? I said, it feels great. I said, and they asked me, so how did you do it? I said, man, I woke up every day saying I'm going to try to please her one day at a time. If I put a string of 7 of them together, I got a week. If I put 30 of them in a row, I got a month. Times 12, I get the year. And that's how I do it. I failed sometimes. I won sometimes. But God judges your heart. And so my whole thing was never to do anything malicious or anything, even if I made a mistake. Yeah, I picked up the wrong can of gravy, but when I went in there, I had the right intention to pick up the dish you wanted. So it's going to taste a little different, and you mad a little bit, but I'm okay with that because it was my heart. Now, if I went there saying, I'm getting this on purpose, I just want to make her mad, then that's not healthy.
Yeah, that is true.
Ted, I think you touched on something key, too, there, because forgiveness is so critical. We're all human, so we're fallible. And one of the things that I believe, not just in any intimate relationship, whether you're married or dating or whatever, I think that it's important to allow the other person to be human, to forgive. But somebody told me one time that if I tell you that X, Y, or Z is hurting me and you continue to do it, then I need to take a step back and really look at whether or not you actually care about me. Because unconditional love doesn't mean you get to wipe your dirty feet on me. Unconditional love means you need to respect that, ouch, that hurts, and be willing to do something different. And the same applies for the other person. And so oftentimes people hold on to stuff and they just won't let it go. You have to be willing to sincerely forgive. And forgiving is not throwing it up in the person's face the next time you disagree about something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
You definitely hit on some points there. When you start talking about forgiveness, and this is something that helped me, a brother of mine, a frat brother of mine actually does marital ministry. And one day he and I just happened to get in his truck going to a repass. Usually I wouldn't even probably ride with him, but for some reason I would ride with him that particular day. And he said to me, I was complaining about a couple of things about my wife. I was using that as a, Dr. Pitts, I know you can get this when people try to get free advice by bringing up their situation when they got you cornered somewhere when
all
you
the
can't get out of the
time.
car. I know you know about that.
Like,
so
look,
since
y'all
he
know
was
I worked for this, right?
since he was a marriage counselor, I said he driving, I'm a talk. So
right.
this is what he said to me, though. He would look at me with a calm voice and say, when I was complaining about her, and he'd say, made everything wonderfully made, right? I said, yeah. He said, so where was you at when he made your wife? And I was quiet, and I was like, I don't know, I wasn't there. He said, so if everything was wonderfully made, then the problem's not her, the problem's you.
Oh, wow.
Man, shut me down, man. I said, man, I waved a white flag, man. I'm done after that. So if you can look at if you look at that person and point out their faults and complain about them, what about you? But again, on top of that, you ain't make them, and God made everything good.
Exactly. That's a good point.
Even people for His doing.
Yeah, that's real.
But
Ted, you made some excellent points, and I hate to cut in here, but we have got to wrap it up. Time has flown.
I'm so sorry.
Wow. No worries. It was an excellent conversation. Right now, what we want to do is we want to list the top 3 points that we want to leave everybody with. So we talked about the head of the house. We talked about partnership. Talked about leading. And knowing when to say when, knowing what battles to choose. And sometimes those independent women are there not by their own choosing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about what makes a healthy, fulfilling marriage, communication, another big theme this week, as it was last week. Communication is key. We talked about listening, and listening not just, to prepare our next statement, but actually hearing what the people have to say. And then finally, we talked about, what it takes for a happy home and for a happy relationship. And Ted made the excellent point that when things are going wrong, we have to look in the mirror. Got to look at ourselves and see what we can do to make the changes, to make things better. Ted, do you have anything to add?
I just would like to tell everybody to make sure you keep God first. Ladies out there, you meet that guy, you ask him one question. I ain't saying it's the first question you ask him, but you say, who do you submit to? And when you ask that question, listen to the response. That's going to tell you which direction to go in. The last thing is, men, you got to remember every single day in a marriage, you got to die to yourself. And if you're able to do that and understand that your wants and your needs and all that stuff is going to get taken care of anyway, but it can't be about you. And women, it's the same thing for you. It has to be, you have to be a servant and not worrying about your own self. And if you do that, I just go to Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, and that simply says trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding, because it may not look like what you think it should look like. But in all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. And in the end, it's going to all work out for your good.
Thank you, Ted. All right, Dr. Pitts, closing?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Ted referenced that scripture, and it reminds me, Alan, I don't know if it still applies, but I know for many, many years, one of your favorite scriptures was, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I think that in relationships, it's so important to remember that in and of ourselves, we're limited as to what we can do. But if we keep Christ first, we really can do all things because He will strengthen us to do it.
Amen. All right. So in closing, I want to thank all of our listeners this evening for joining the discussion. Tune in next week where the conversation will continue.
Yes.
You don't want to miss it. More talk about men. All right, everybody. Thank you so much and have a great night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm.